what brought this call to pass today? We've heard a drumbeat for days leading up to their prior meetings until now.
Absolutely. So this was their first phone call since that tariff truce last month. You know, the two leaders met just a few weeks ago in person in South Korea, agreed to a year-long truce, and we really saw the rolling back of many of the tariffs that Trump had imposed on China. So today's call seemed to be really an attempt to build on some of that positive momentum that came out of that in-person meeting. You know, as you mentioned, Trump said that he would be going to China in April of next year, and that he had invited Xi to the White House for a state visit later in the year as well. Trump, and Xi spoke about a number of issues: trade, Russia's war in Ukraine, purchases of soybeans and other farm products. But Caroline Leavitt was actually just out here speaking to reporters and said really the main focus of the phone call was to talk about this trade deal that the U.S. and China are trying to hammer out and really trying to move the ball forward there.
Kate, 6 weeks to go until Obamacare subsidies expire, and there was an expectation that the president could, as soon as today, unveil a new proposal to alleviate the deadline and, in fact, put in place a 2-year extension with some limitations on eligibility. Now, word from the White House is, at least reportedly, that plan is postponed. What can you tell us?
So really at the heart of this, the White House is trying to get ahead of a surge in health insurance premiums that's going to be caused by these subsidies, as you mentioned, expiring at the end of this year. You know, there really is added pressure on the White House right now to address these rising costs, to bring these costs down, because there's been really a renewed focus on affordability and rising costs. This was a winning message for Democrats recently on Election Day. This is something that the White House knows that they need to really recalibrate their message on. We've heard the president really speak a lot more about affordability recently. Caroline Leavitt was actually just asked, in terms of what this plan is going to look like, Caroline Leavitt was just speaking to reporters. Let's listen to what she had to say.
Healthcare is a topic of discussion that's happening very frequently and robustly inside the West Wing right now. The president's very much involved in these talks, and he's very focused on unveiling a healthcare proposal that will fix the system and will bring down costs for consumers. As for the details of those discussions, I'll let the president speak for himself.
So not a lot of details there, concrete details on what this plan is going to look like. What we do know is that the president has said that he's hoping to secure a solution by January 30th. And we, of course, heard Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said that we could see a proposal as early as this week. So we're just waiting to see if that actually happens and if we see an actual proposal by the end of this week.